look at you, right now, sitting there, scrolling, waiting for something outside of you to fix what's broken inside of you. You clicked on this because you are waiting for a spark. You're waiting for a feeling. You're waiting for some magical surge of energy to suddenly wash over your body and make the hard work feel easy. You think you need motivation. You think you need to be hyped up, fired up, inspired to finally get off your ass and do the things you've been promising yourself you'd do for years. I'm here to tell you the brutal, ugly truth that almost everyone else is too scared to say to your face. Motivation is a liar. Motivation is a scam. It is the greatest con ever sold to our generation. You are addicted to the feeling of getting ready to do the work without ever actually doing it. You consume these videos, these podcasts, these quotes, treating them like a hit of a drug. It spikes your dopamine. It makes you feel like you've accomplished something monumental just by listening to a speech. You get that warm, fuzzy feeling in your chest. You make a grand plan in your head. You set your alarm for 4:30 in the morning, and you swear to God that tomorrow, everything changes. Tomorrow is day one. Tomorrow you go hard. And then what happens? Tomorrow comes. The alarm goes off. It's pitch black outside. It's freezing cold. You're exhausted. Your bed is incredibly comfortable. And that feeling? That hype? That burning motivation you had 12 hours ago? It is completely, totally, and utterly gone. It abandoned you the exact second things got uncomfortable. Motivation is a fair weather friend. It's the buddy who shows up to the party to drink your beer and celebrate, but is nowhere to be found when it's time to help you move out of your apartment in the freezing rain. It relies entirely on your emotional state. And let's be deeply, brutally honest about human emotions. They are volatile, unpredictable, and completely unreliable. If your success, if your health, if your family's financial future depends on you feeling like doing the work, you have already lost. Because you are not going to feel like it. You are not going to feel like hitting the gym after grinding out a 10-hour shift at a job that drains your soul. You are not going to feel like eating chicken and broccoli when there's a drive-through 2 minutes from your house pumping out the smell of cheap satisfaction. You are not going to feel like making those extra 10 cold calls when the first 20 people hung up in your face and treated you like garbage. You are never going to consistently feel like suffering. It defies human nature. Our brains are hardwired for survival, for comfort, for taking the path of least resistance. This is exactly where the amateurs break and the elite are forged. Because the elite do not operate on motivation. They operate on a completely different frequency. They operate on discipline. Discipline does not care about your feelings. Discipline doesn't give a damn if you didn't sleep well last night. Discipline doesn't care if it's raining outside, if your boss disrespected you, if your car broke down, or if you feel a little uninspired today. Discipline is the cold, unfeeling, unbreakable architecture of success. It is the raw, mechanical execution of the task at hand, completely and entirely divorced from your emotional state. It is doing what needs to be done when it needs to be done, whether you want to do it or not. We live in an era of instant gratification. We want Amazon Prime success. We want 2-day free shipping on our wildest dreams. We want the six-pack without the sweat. We want the 7-figure business without the sleepless nights, the crippling anxiety, and the years of eating dirt. We want the outcome, but we absolutely despise the process. And society feeds you this toxic garbage. They tell you to find your passion, do what makes you happy, wait for the right moment, protect your peace. Let me tell you something about the right moment. The right moment is a myth. The conditions will never be perfect. The stars are never going to align. If you wait for the green lights all the way from your house to your destination before you even back out of your driveway, you are going to die in your driveway. Look at the graveyard of your past ambitions. Take a long, hard look at it. Look at the gym memberships you enthusiastically bought in January and completely abandoned by the second week of February. Look at the business plans collecting dust in the corner of your bedroom. Look at the books you bought to improve your mind that are still sitting on the shelf, unread. Look at the diets you started on a Monday and ruined by Wednesday afternoon. Every single one of those failures has a common denominator. You started with motivation, and you lacked discipline. You built a house on sand. You relied on a fleeting emotion. And the second the emotional storm passed and the reality of the hard work set in, your commitment vanished right along with it. You traded what you want most in this world for what you want right now in this exact second. Comfort, a warm bed, a cheap distraction on your phone. You chose the path of least resistance, and that path leads to exactly one place: regret. You have to understand the psychological damage you are doing to yourself. Every time you hit the snooze button, every single time you skip the workout, every time you tell yourself, "I'll do it tomorrow," and take the easy way out, you are not just failing at that one isolated task. You are casting a vote for the type of person you are becoming. You are actively training your brain to believe that your word to yourself means absolutely nothing. You are building a rock-solid habit of surrender. You are telling your subconscious that when things get tough, you quit. But discipline? Discipline is the ultimate rebellion against your weak nature. It is you looking your fatigue, your fear, and your excuses dead in the eye and saying, "I am the master of this vessel. My mind dictates the action, not my body, not my fatigue, not my fleeting emotions." When you wake up and you don't want to run, but you lace up your shoes anyway and step out into the dark, that is a victory that alters your DNA. When you are starving for junk food, but you force yourself to eat what fuels you, that is a victory. When you are mentally drained, staring at a blank screen, and you force yourself to write the next page, make the next plan, send the next email, that is a victory. These aren't just checked boxes on a to-do list. These are the bricks that build an empire. In the moments when you are completely alone, when the hype is dead, when the motivational music stops playing, when nobody is clapping for you, when there are no cameras to capture your struggle, that is when you find out who you really are. That is the proving ground. That is exactly where motivation dies a pathetic death and discipline takes the wheel. You need to realize right now that no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to hand you the life you want. No motivational speaker, no book, no perfectly timed quote is going to do the push-ups for you. They can point to the door, but you have to walk through it, and the walk is going to be painful. You are going to bleed. You are going to sweat. You are going to question why you started. And in those dark moments, motivation will not answer your calls. Only discipline will carry you through to the other side. We are going to tear down this pathetic illusion you've built your life on, this reliance on feeling good before you do good, and we are going to replace it with cold, hard, unyielding iron. Let's talk about the negotiation. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's that conversation you have with yourself every single time things get hard. It's that little voice in the back of your mind, the one that sounds incredibly reasonable, incredibly logical, and completely toxic. It's the voice that whispers, "Just 5 more minutes of sleep." It's the voice that says, "You worked hard today. You deserve a break. One cheat meal won't hurt. You can always start the project tomorrow." That voice is the enemy. That voice is the architect of your mediocrity. And the tragedy of your life is that you have spent years negotiating with it. You sit there at the negotiating table with your own weakness, hearing out its arguments, considering its terms, and ultimately signing a treaty that surrenders your massive potential for a tiny, fleeting moment of comfort. Discipline means the negotiation is over. It means the table is flipped, the room is cleared, and the door is locked. There is no conversation to be had. When the alarm goes off, your feet hit the floor. Period. End of discussion. You do not ask yourself if you are tired. You do not consult your feelings to see if they are in the mood for a workout or a 10-hour workday. You sever the connection between how you feel and what you are about to do. You become a machine of execution. You see, the people operating at the highest levels of life, the top 1% of the 1%, they do not have some magical superpower that makes them immune to fatigue. They get tired. They get frustrated. They get burnt out and depressed and overwhelmed, just like you do. The difference, the only difference, is that they have trained themselves to act independently of those feelings. Their discipline overrides their human frailty. They have built a callus on their mind. You have to understand that there are only two types of pain in this world, and you are going to have to choose one of them. You don't get to opt out. The first is the pain of discipline. It is acute, it is sharp, and it is right in your face. It is the burn in your lungs on the track. It is the mental exhaustion of staring at a spreadsheet at 2 a.m. It is the sting of rejection when you are trying to build something from the ground up. It sucks. It is uncomfortable. But then there is the second pain, the pain of regret. And this pain is entirely different. It doesn't hit you all at once. It creeps up on you, slowly, over decades. It is a dull, heavy, suffocating ache. It's the pain of waking up at 50 years old, looking in the mirror, and realizing you are a ghost of the person you could have been. It's the pain of looking at your bank account and knowing you didn't do what it took to secure your family's future. It's the pain of watching someone else live the exact life you always dreamed of, simply because they were willing to do the work that you were too lazy to do. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. Which one are you going to carry? Right now, you are choosing regret on an installment plan. You are taking out a loan against your own future, and you are paying it back in the currency of lost opportunities. You think you were just skipping one gym session. You think you were just wasting one Sunday scrolling on your phone. But life is not a series of isolated events. Life is an unbroken chain of compounding choices. Every single time you choose the easy way out, you are reinforcing the neural pathways of a quitter. You are carving a deep groove into your brain that says, when friction is introduced, I fold. You are actively building an identity of softness. Discipline is the only way to reverse that damage. It is a daily, hourly, minute-by-minute war against your own gravity. And it starts with the micro decisions. People think discipline is this massive, monumental life overhaul. It's not. It's the fork in the road that presents itself 50 times a day. It's the choice between the elevator and the stairs. It's the choice between water and a soda. It's the choice between reading 10 pages of a book that will make you sharper or watching another mindless 30-minute video that numbs your brain. These micro decisions seem completely insignificant in the moment. Nobody is going to throw you a parade because you chose the stairs. But over a year? Over 5 years? Over a decade? Those microscopic choices compound into an unbridgeable gap between the person you are and the person you were destined to become. You want to know why you lack self-respect? You want to know why you suffer from anxiety? Why you feel like an imposter in your own life? It is because you know, deep down in the darkest corners of your soul, that you are lying to yourself. You know your daily actions do not align with your grand ambitions. Your brain is not stupid. It keeps a permanent ledger of every promise you make and every promise you break. When you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, you lose a piece of your own trust. Discipline is how you buy your soul back. It is the process of aligning your actions with your words. When you start executing on the things you said you would do, regardless of how brutal it feels in the moment, you start to generate undeniable proof that you are exactly who you claim to be. You build a fortress of self-esteem that no external circumstance, no hater, and no failure can ever tear down. Because when you are forged in the fire of discipline, you stop looking for the easy way. In fact, you start to crave the hard way. You start to realize that the resistance is the whole point. The struggle isn't in the way. The struggle is the way. Look at the people you look up to. Look at the icons, the champions, the titans of industry, the elite athletes who perform at a level that seems almost non-human. From the outside, it is so easy to fall into the comfortable trap of calling them talented. It's so easy to tell yourself that they were blessed with genetics, or born with a special mind, or handed a lucky break that you never got. That is a coping mechanism. That is a lie you tell yourself so you can sleep at night, so you don't have to face the terrifying reality of your own unused potential. The truth is, talent is cheap. Talent is everywhere. High school graveyards of potential are full of talented people who lacked the discipline to do anything with it. Talent without discipline is nothing more than a flashy sports car sitting in the garage with no gas in the tank. It looks pretty. It sounds great when you rev it up for 5 seconds, but it isn't going anywhere. Discipline is the fuel. Discipline is the dirty, grimy, unglamorous mechanics under the hood. The elite aren't elite because they never fail, or because they never feel like quitting. They are elite because they have embraced the solitude of the grind. They have learned to love the dark room. Think about the dark room for a second. The dark room is where you spend hours, days, months, and years working on a craft when nobody is watching. There are no stadium lights in the dark room. There are no cheering fans. There is no social media audience giving you likes, comments, and validation for your efforts. There is no instant reward. It's just you, the work, and the silence. Most people cannot survive the dark room for 5 minutes. They get bored. They get lonely. They panic because they aren't getting instant feedback. They need the crowd to cheer for them just to keep going. They need their friends to pat them on the back. They need external validation to feel like their effort matters. If you need an audience to work hard, you are not disciplined. You are an actor playing a role. Discipline requires you to become comfortable in the deep, quiet isolation of effort. It requires you to do the heavy lifting when the only witness is the mirror. When you are sitting alone at your desk at midnight, pounding away on a business plan while your friends are out at the bar living for the weekend, when you are out on the asphalt in the freezing morning air, running miles while the rest of the city is asleep under warm blankets, that is where the gap is created. Not in the bright lights of game day, but in the dark, quiet, forgotten hours where no one is clapping for you. You have to change your entire relationship with discomfort. Society has conditioned you to run from friction. The second something feels hard, awkward, or painful, you've been taught to back away, to seek safety, to go back to what feels easy. But if you want to build a life of true consequence, you have to invert that instinct. When you feel friction, when you feel that intense resistance pulling at your chest, telling you to stop, that shouldn't be your signal to turn around. That should be your signal that you are right on the edge of a breakthrough. Friction is proof that you are stretching your capacity. Resistance is the universe checking to see if you actually want what you say you want, or if you were just talking big when things were easy. Stop wishing for it to be easier. Wish for yourself to be stronger. Stop asking for less stress, less pressure, and fewer obstacles. Start demanding more discipline, more endurance, and an unshakable will. You don't need a new strategy. You don't need another productivity app. You don't need a new morning routine that takes 2 hours and involves 20 different steps. You need to raise your standards. A goal is just a wishful thought. It's a dream with no teeth. I want to lose 30 pounds. I want to make 6 figures. I want to write a book. Great. So does everyone else on the planet. Goals don't determine your success. Your standards do. Your standards are your non-negotiables. They are the absolute lowest level of effort, behavior, and output you are willing to tolerate from yourself on any given day. When your standards are low, your floor is low. When your standards are high, your worst day is still better than an average person's best day. Discipline is the relentless enforcement of those high standards. It is looking at a task and saying, "This is below my standard, so I will fix it. This effort is below my standard, so I will double it." Motivation will give you a temporary burst of speed, but discipline sets your baseline. It establishes the floor beneath which you refuse to sink. Let's talk about the most dangerous lie you tell yourself every single day. The lie of tomorrow. You operate under the delusion that your time is infinite. You walk around with this arrogant assumption that you will always have another chance, another Monday, another New Year's Day to finally get your act together. You treat your time like it's cheap, handing it out to distractions, to scrolling, to meaningless entertainment, all while your actual life, your one and only shot at existence, is quietly slipping through your fingers. Every single time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," you are playing Russian roulette with your potential. Because tomorrow is not promised to you. Tomorrow is a concept. Today, right now, this exact second, is the only tangible reality you possess. If a bank deposited $86,400 into your account every single morning, but told you that whatever you didn't spend would be completely wiped out at midnight, you wouldn't waste a single cent. You would extract every ounce of value from that money. Yet, you are given 86,400 seconds every single day. And because it's time and not cash, you squander it. You let it drain away into the gutter of comfort and procrastination. This is where discipline transcends being just a habit and becomes a matter of life and death for your dreams. Discipline is the realization that the clock is ticking, and it is never going to stop. People look at discipline backward. They look at it as a punishment. They look at a structured life, a strict diet, a relentless work ethic, and they think, that looks like a prison. They think discipline takes away their freedom. I am telling you that discipline is the only true freedom that exists. If you lack discipline, you are a slave. You are a slave to your snooze button. You are a slave to your sugar cravings. You are a slave to your shifting moods, your insecurities, and your fleeting emotions. You are a puppet, and your temporary impulses are pulling all the strings. You think you are free because you can choose to sit on the couch and do nothing? That is not freedom. That is captivity. Freedom is the ability to command your own mind and have your body obey. Freedom is the power to say, we are waking up at 4 a.m. to train, and knowing with absolute certainty that it will happen because you are the master of your own vessel. To achieve this, you have to burn the ships. In the year 1519, when Captain Hernán Cortés landed on the shores of Veracruz to conquer the Aztec Empire, he faced a massive, brutal enemy with a fraction of the men. His crew was terrified. They were exhausted. And as they stood on the beach, looking at the overwhelming odds, they started whispering about retreating. They started looking back at the ships anchored in the harbor, thinking about the safety of going home. Cortés knew that as long as those ships were there, As long as a safety net existed, his men would never fight with the absolute desperation required to win. So he gave an order that changed the course of history. He ordered his men to burn their own ships. As the flames lit up the sky and the ships sank into the ocean, the message was crystal clear. We win or we die here. There is no retreat. There is no backup plan. There is no tomorrow. You need to burn your ships. You need to take the option of quitting off the table permanently. As long as you give yourself a back door, as long as you tell yourself, well, if this business doesn't work out, I can always just go back to doing what I hate. You will never push hard enough to succeed. As long as you tell yourself, if I don't work out today, I'll just do it tomorrow. You will always choose the comfort of today. You have to back yourself into a corner where the only way out is through the obstacle. This is not a temporary fix. This is not a 30-day challenge. You cannot visit discipline like a tourist, take a few pictures, and then go back home to your comfortable, mediocre life. Discipline has to become your identity. You must stop saying, I am trying to be disciplined, and start saying, I am disciplined. When you shift your identity, your actions follow. A runner doesn't have to motivate themselves to run. It is who they are. A disciplined person doesn't negotiate with the alarm clock. Waking up and executing is simply what they do. It is etched into their bone marrow. I want you to go into your bathroom tonight. I want you to lock the door, turn on the harsh overhead light, and look yourself directly in the eyes in the mirror. I don't want you to look away. Look at the person staring back at you and have the most brutally honest conversation of your entire life. Look at the lines on your face. Look at the time that has already passed. Ask yourself, are you proud of the effort you gave today? Are you honoring the potential you were born with? Or are you hiding? The person in that mirror is your only real competition. No one else matters. And you cannot lie to the person in the mirror. You can lie to your friends. You can lie to your boss. You can curate a fake, perfect life on social media for strangers to validate. But the person in the mirror knows exactly what you did when nobody was watching. The person in the mirror knows about the corners you cut, the excuses you made, and the work you avoided. Make a pact with that reflection. Right here. Right now. Decide that the era of negotiation is permanently over. Decide that you will no longer be a victim of your own excuses. This is the end of the line. The motivation stops right here. The hype stops right here. The words end and the execution begins. Do not look for another video to pump you up. Do not look for another quote to give you goosebumps. You have everything you need, and it is entirely up to you to forge it in the fire of action. Turn this off. Put the phone down. Stand up. And go do the work.